Hey there, it is Wednesday, October 21st, 2015, Back to the Future Day. If you weren't already aware by literally everybody else saying that on the internet today. But, happy Back to the Future Day. It is also Comic Book Day because every Wednesday, or almost every Wednesday, is Comic Book Day. Before I actually start this part, I want to go over some things I've been thinking about, just small, teeny changes you probably won't notice, probably won't affect you guys as viewers that much, but basically I've decided that more of these videos will be moved to Thursday, just because I get home pretty late every Wednesday now, and I have Thursdays off, so I have more free time to do these, and I won't be up until 2 in the morning making these videos and uploading them and making sure everything goes fine. And I won't have to keep myself awake reading comics, and if I'm more awake, then I will be able to pay more attention and hopefully give better reviews. But I did do some reading today, got about half my pull read, and I'm going to review that for you right now. That is the DC books, as you can probably tell from the title, and tomorrow I will be reading and reviewing some Marvel books and some other books. But for this video, starting first with Black Canary, issue number 5. I didn't like this issue as much as some previous issues. I guess this is kind of we're 5 issues in, so I guess this is kind of like an arc transition, where I wouldn't call it the end of an arc. I wouldn't call it quite the beginning of a new arc, but we are kind of going from one main plot beat to the next. So we start this issue at the end of a show, end of a pretty good gig. Everyone's all happy. Dinah gave a good speech about how her band is her new family, essentially. And then on the road to the next gig, overnight, they decide to camp out when, and there's Ditto in a cute little tiger costume. Reminds you a lot of Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes. But of course, camping out in the middle of the woods, things are going to happen, bad things, and Dinah gets ambushed by a ninja that steals a blood sample from her. She gives chase, but is unfortunately not quite fast enough to catch up with the ninja, and she escapes. In the next town, they get ambushed by a bunch of other bands looking for a battle of the bands, which ends up happening because the band has to find a way to pay back the promoter for wrecking a bunch of stuff in previous issues. So they start preparing for Battle of the Bands, and of course, one of the bands they are up against is Bo Maeve, or Mabe. I have no idea how to pronounce her name, actually. But that, of course, is what you get on the cover, too. We only see Maeve's performance, and then only the beginning of it, which is pretty much the page I showed you, and that's kind of where we end. So not a lot of stuff really happening, more setting up stuff for the next couple issues to play out. And that's pretty much it. Kind of a transitory issue. Not much to like or dislike. Art's still good. The pages I showed you I quite liked. And this page where you have the performance of Bo's band. I like the scene I showed with the tiger costume. I just think that's kind of adorable. Ditto in the little tiger costume. And then I like the coloring on the chase page I showed you. This is pretty pretty, I thought. And then what other page did I like? I liked the colors in this one, just kind of the yellows on this page I quite liked. But yeah, not much to say plot wise. But there we go, Black Canary, issue 5. Whoa. See? I'm tired. I can't review comics when I'm tired. I'll get through this video, though. Next up, we have Martian Manhunter, issue 5. Yeah, issue 5. I'm doing this correctly. And some kind of like Black Canary. Just, more stuff happens, I guess, in this one. I quite like this issue, actually. we start with Martian Manhunter talking to himself, kind of a inner monologue, inner dialogue, because he's trapped amongst so many different people. And I like how in this little opening page you have, I guess, the main Martian Manhunter conscious, kind of telling us how he kind of misses Mars, how it's a dead planet, and how he wishes that he could bring it back to life, but not at the cost of sacrificing Earth. And Mr. Biscuits actually kind of plays the Jiminy Cricket, the conscience of kind of the inner conscious, telling what's right and wrong, and calling out the other main monologue for being kind of pretentious. The Manhunter personalities that we've been introduced to then go off to find this guy, Mold, who is they think can help solve this issue. Manhunter is trying to reassemble himself, and I guess Mold is kind of a big moral center, or they set him up to be a big moral center in this book. We then get a pretty silly scene where the hunters we were already introduced to try to make it through an airport using their telepathy to kind of mindfuck everyone into letting them pass, and it's a pretty comical scene, as you just have some pieces are more confident in their Martian Manhunteriness than other pieces, and as they just bump through this airport, and it looks ridiculous, and it's pretty funny. Then there's a special guest appearance by Aquaman, and Aquaman's in this briefly, and Aquaman's cool. I'm thinking I'm going to start picking up his book again, because I do like Aquaman. I think he gets a bad rap, and I liked some of the books in the past, and I've switched during kind of creative changes, but I think I'm going to give it another try, because I do like Aquaman, and I haven't read him in a while, and I figure, hey, it can't be worse than a really bad book that I can't think of right now. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening. The Martians are getting on a plane, trying to reassemble themselves. Aquaman is running into the place where Pearl and Mold already are. Aquaman has been in telekinetic communication with the Manhunter consciousness, and so they're all gathered up. And this little island is where all the Martians are hoping to gather up, because that's where Mold is, as I said. And then, yeah, as the Martians leave on the plane, they leave Alicia back at the airport, and she is being hunted by the Martian Maneater. Of course, no one else can see because they're using their Martian mind tricks, and it's kind of spooky for her and kind of scary as she's left alone now without any protection, and the Martians are after her. And then we end on a bit of a twist that I'm not going to really spoil. There we go, Martian Manhunter. Still really, really enjoying this book, and I want to see where it goes. I think it's pretty interesting and really well done. Next up is Wonder Woman, and I've been up and down on this book, but this issue I really liked, particularly the beginning of this issue, where we have Aegis kind of teleport onto Mount Olympus, trying to ambush Diana, and they get into this fight. And what I love about this fight, like just he throws the first punch, of course, is that even though Aegis is raging mad, Diana wants to take mercy on him. Diana doesn't throw a punch. She's like, I get that you're angry. I see that you're angry. Let's talk through this. You know, you're obviously very angry, and I'm really sorry. I don't want to fight you. But Strife is a lot less patient, as you can see on this pretty great splash page where you just have yoink, picking him up and threatening to eat him. We then cut back to Donna, who is on a tour of London with her new friend Violet, before they go their own way. And then, because Aegis failed, we see kind of repercussions of what happens when you fail, and then like his bosses and his boss being really threatening. And then eventually, through some through some stuff or another, Diana and Donna meet back up. And then at the very end, Aegis reappears. And then the fourth person, Aegis' boss, finally makes themselves known. And it's kind of a big what moment. But yeah, I liked this issue of Wonder Woman quite a lot. I especially liked that initial not fight scene. How Wonder Woman, even when getting punched, even when getting beat, shows mercy and tries to find the compassionate way out. She doesn't want to fight. And I kind of like this weird dichotomy between Wonder Woman writers. How you have some people write her as like an Amazonian warrior, a very pragmatic fighter, tries to get fights done, in and out, finish them quickly, so other people don't get hurt. Then you have people like this who write Wonder Woman as someone who's a lot more compassionate, who wants to avoid fighting, who doesn't want to fight at all if she can help it. Even though she is, now the goddess of war. And I prefer that Wonder Woman. I prefer the compassionate, trying to find another way out Wonder Woman. Because that's kind of her thing. That's kind of her place, I feel, in like the DC pantheon. You have Superman, who's strong, he's strong enough to protect everybody. Batman has the, perfect kind of sense of justice. And Wonder Woman is compassion. So I kind of like how she's sticking to that kind of role, I guess, that I kind of feel like I just made up now that it's out of my mouth. But maybe you guys can back me up on that and hopefully feel the same way. Next up is Superman and Wonder Woman issue 22. And this is the issue after some setup, as Superman tries to fly into the sun to get his powers back. And I actually love this page where the big thing happens. Superman tries to fly into the sun to get his powers back. Wonder Woman is like, no, you're crazy, you'll kill yourself. Flies off to rescue him, and then as they're teleporting back to the Justice League Watchtower, you just have Clark tell Wonder Woman that he thinks, I don't know if I love you anymore. And it's this great page where you feel kind of that initial break, of the relationship. And they frame it like, each person has half a page and everything's crumbling behind them. It's super dramatic and I love it. I just love this one page of the book so much. And yeah, just like the composition and everything, I think it's great. I think it's just a great page. But yeah, that's the majority of this book is Superman going off trying to get his powers back, Wonder Woman rescuing him, and then Superman kind of breaking the bad news to Wonder Woman. The two have a little tiff about that because that's kind of a bombshell to drop as you're being teleported away from the sun. But then the two decide they're going to work together, try and solve this case, despite their little thing, because they are teammates first and foremost. And the two break into Argus. Is it Argus? I just watched Arrow, so everything is Argus now. I'm trying to find out what the name is of this place. Okay, well, government, secret agents in the DC universe, whoever these ones are. Superman and Wonder Woman break in to break out Parasite, who Superman tries to make a deal with. So yeah, this issue was kind of building out to the I don't think I love you anymore, and then the rest was just kind of falling action. But that one page, that climax, I think is just so well done that I can't help but like this book. Just such a well done thing, and I quite like this issue just for that kind of moment. It made the whole thing, I think. Next up is Secret 6, issue 7, really. 667, Secret 6-7, SSS still. This is the beginning of a new arc for Secret 6, and we begin here in the House of Strangers, where a bunch of DC magic characters have gathered in a forum to discuss some bad magic mojo happening in the DC universe. someone or something is siphoning all of the magic power, which is bad because these magicians of the DC universe are the only things keeping the Titans at bay. And the Titans are an ancient evil, older than the gods, older than heaven and hell, and good and evil and all that, who only the magicians can protect the world from. Meanwhile, Black Alice is still recovering in the hospital, and Ralph Dibny is keeping very close watch over her. They still care about each other very well. He still cares about her very much. And meanwhile, Catman tries to teach the rest of the team how to play basketball, which doesn't exactly work out for him, as Strix kind of misunderstands the rules of sports. And I just love this bit. Just you have Catman getting just knocked out, and then the gnome just kind of there watching the whole thing happen. Strix's little new buddy, the garden gnome. And yeah, that's kind of what happens plot-wise. You get some character development. We find out why Catman is so insistent on keeping the team together. He's trying to build a family of sorts. He's had enemies and temporary friends, but he likes this group because now he feels that somebody finally has his back. Oh yeah, and then Etrigan happens to the team, and there's a bit of a fight as Etrigan explains the whole magic-y business to the team and tells them that Black Alice is in danger, besides the dying in a hospital thing. So yeah, quite an interesting start. A big story, big stakes that Gail Simone is setting up here. But yeah, I like this team. I like Secret Six. I like the characters. It's funny. It's funny in a kind of a reverent way, but it's funny, but still heartfelt. Like, these are characters that do bad things and are bad people in a way, and it's funny to see them get beat up and punched and whatever, but you still care about them. As much as it's funny to see them in harm's way, you want them to live, I guess. And so it's a fine balance, but Gail Simone has had years of practice pulling this off, and like it's a mastery of the form, I feel. Gail Simone really knows how to write a team like this. She knows this book inside and out, like the back of her hand. All those other cliches about how well people know things. The word grok. And so it's simply enjoyable and fun and great. It's like Always Sunny, except the characters are more likable, I guess. Next up, oh man, so many books, and this is only half. Next up, Darkseid War, Justice League, issue 46. 45, sorry, I don't want to rush this. And yeah, Darkseid War, it's just crazy. It finds a way to get crazier and crazier. In the last issue, Darkseid died. He was killed by the Black Rider, who took over the Flash at the will of the Anti-Monitor. And this spread over here, what a great opening spread. This is just a brilliant page. I just love it. It's great. It's a beautiful page. And in this issue, we're kind of setting up a whole bunch of spin-offs, a whole bunch of one-issue spin-offs that are spinning out of the main Darkseid War Justice League book. As we see, pretty much every member of the Justice League becomes some sort of god. So the Flash, who's absorbed, who is now playing host to the Black Rider, becomes the god of death. Superman, who has absorbed the power of Apocalypse, becomes the god of strength, and kind of knocks out Lex Luthor, leaving him on Apocalypse. Batman, sitting on the chair, becomes the god of knowledge, and he flies back off to Gotham to be the Batman that Gotham needs, but not the one it deserves. Lex Luthor is found by some freedom fighters. What else happens? Who else becomes a god? Shazam becomes the god of gods, which seems a bit overpowered. And then last page, Lex Luthor becomes god of Apocalypse. So now that Darkseid is dead, there is a new Olympiad, a new pantheon of new gods, and they're the Justice League. So yeah, it's a big story. This is like the biggest story. Jeff Johns really is just going nuts with it, and I love it. It's just so, it's too extreme. I can't help but love it. So yeah, that's basically it. Is Darkseid is dead. The Justice League are the new gods. I really can't complain. It's just too extreme. So heavily recommended. I'm just really liking this story. I'm liking how big it is. I like big. And then the last book of this video, this part of this week's reviews, is Batman and Robin Eternal, issue number 3. And in this issue, the gang is finally all together. After Cass kicks some more ass, this time Jason Todd's, all the Robins and Harper Row and Spoiler finally assemble. And Cass, of course. They all finally assemble, meet up with each other, and try and discuss, okay, let's really find out what's at the bottom of this. And of course, when we have all the Robins on a mission, the only possible place for HQ is the Batcave. So we have all the Robins, Harper Row, Spoiler, and Cass now in the Batcave trying to figure out what the hell is going on with this mother character. Fortunately, Spiral has some information that gives them a bit of a lead as to where to go. Here's a good page that shows that off. Unfortunately, the lead is that they are going after Bruce Wayne, who, of course, doesn't remember anything about being Batman at this point in the story. There's also a bit of a flashback to the same story we've been hearing in the flashbacks about Robin's first run-in with the Scarecrow, and that's pretty much the book. This is just get everyone together so they can split up again. That's kind of the thing we're doing right now. But I just like having all the Robins together. The Robins are my I'm willing to say the Robins are my favorite kind of legacy character. They're my favorite, they're my favorite series of characters while share the same title. So, you have like the Flashes, you have the Green Lanterns, and my favorite legacy character are the Robins. And so just having them all together, working on the same mission, I have that, Robin banter back and forth between Dick, Todd, and Jason. Just having them all in the same room always makes me happy. And then having Cassandra Cain just continuously kicking all the ass is great. And Harper and Spoiler get a couple moments of their own in this book too. So yeah, it's a weekly, not much to say issue to issue. Oh, one more really cool thing about this book that I did want to point out, actually, is if you notice on this masthead here, we have a name that has not been in a Batman book in so many years. Bill Finger is finally getting a creator's credit on the Batman character. If you don't know who Bill Finger is, I heavily suggest you look him up. But he created Batman. He's the guy who made Batman the character he is. Basically, Bob Kane, who's been credited the past 75 years as the sole creator of Batman, was the artist on the book. And he kind of came up with the idea, hey, let's have a character and let's have him be called Batman. And then Bill Finger was like, okay, what would a character called Batman be like? And he came up with the cape. He came up with the cowl. He came up with Robin, the Joker, the Batmobile. Like, he came up with everything that kind of makes Batman Batman. But because Bob Kane said the name first and was the artist, he kind of got all the credit. And for decades now, there's been a movement to get DC to give equal credit to Bill Finger because everyone thinks that he's deserved it. And I'm pretty sure this is the first book since Bill Finger wrote Batman, I'm pretty sure this is the first Batman book since he was on the title to actually give due credit to Bill Finger for his contributions to the character. And so that's just wonderful to see. And on a story I quite like, that's just even better. That his name back on the comics comes in on a very good comic. So, yeah, pretty good note to leave out on, I think, until tomorrow, where I will review Iron Man, Spider-Man, Godzilla, and some other stuff you guys will see. I hope if you care and you'll tune in. But before we get to that, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, rate it, whatever, subscribe if you want more of these. And any comments, anything whatsoever that you want to tell me, leave them below and I will read them. Like I said, that's it for today, for comics. I'm tired. I'm clearly tired. So I will get back to you with all those other comics I mentioned tomorrow in that video. I hope you watch it. But if you don't, I want to thank you for watching this one, and hopefully, eventually, I'll see you again for some more comic book reviews.